You want a steady stream of new clients coming in through your door at the lowest possible cost using your Facebook ads, but how do you actually get to that outcome that you're looking forward to the most? And it's really by split testing your Facebook ads over time to ensuring that you have the right components that are really speaking to the audience that you want the most, so that you're getting the clicks, you're getting the conversions, and ultimately you're getting the revenue that you're looking for. So today I'm going to show you a step-by-step process to show you how to split test your Facebook ads, talk through some of the budget considerations, which I know is relevant for a lot of you that are running your own ads as well. And I'll walk you through what to test in what order and how to eventually get to the point where you have an ad that is running continuously that you're really happy with, and that's getting you the results, and the Facebook algorithm is optimizing to the people that you want coming in through your door or ringing you on your phone. So this is the first time joining one of my lives. I'm Brian Czekanski. I focus on those businesses that have moms as their audience. I help them crack the code on Facebook ads so that they can scale their business and cut their work hours in half. So split testing is something that's really important to do. A lot of people will just kind of throw out one specific ad and hope for the best. And if that works, great. If it doesn't, they kind of live and die by those single results. So what I would tell for you is it's kind of a process, especially in the early going in terms of putting an ad out there. You're not exactly sure what is going to resonate with your audience. So we want to make sure that we kind of break down our ad into those components. And I've talked about it before in past videos, things like the image, the offer, the Facebook copy, the little soundbite, the first two sentences of that ad, the headline that goes right below the image. All those things are something that you can test out with your Facebook, in your Facebook results. You can split test them to see, okay, if I use this headline versus another one, which one is really going to resonate with the audience. Another thing to really consider is like targeting. As you're kind of asking Facebook to put your ad in front of different people, how can you continue to dial that in as your ad goes along to make sure that Facebook is putting your ad only in front of those people that are most qualified and kind of relevant to your offer and to your business. So that's something to optimize along the way. So I kind of want to walk through, again, kind of step by step, what should you test first? How should you think about those results over time? And this is something that I'm doing with my clients on a day-to-day basis. So I'm continuously looking at various different components and thinking about, even when we have an ad that is really performing well, it's getting the results, there's a positive ROI. I'm always thinking about, okay, how can we improve this? How can we go against this control that we've already established? And how can we make it even better? So I'll talk about a few other things. When you really dialed in your ad, what are those kind of next steps that you could potentially go even further to potentially get even lower costs, but also better results over time. So I'm just going to pull up real quickly, just kind of share my screen, just show you kind of, I'm just going to write down kind of the order of operations and kind of give you a preview of what to expect. So I'll walk you through kind of step by step in terms of what you should think about. So again, if we kind of just think about this one right here. So I just kind of want to walk you through, again, in one of the videos that I did yesterday in talking about Facebook ad images, you have to realize that the image is the most critical portion, because again, if you can't get that user to stop their scroll within the news feed, all those other components like the offer, the Facebook ad copy, the headline really just don't matter. So we're always going to try to split test. And this is something that I would recommend for all of you, is if you're going to do no other split testing, make sure that you have at least two ads where you're testing out images, two different images, to see which one performs better than the other, because it can be a dramatic result, especially if you have an image that really resonates with your audience, stops their scrolling a little bit better. You can have dramatically better results and lower costs over time. So that's kind of the starting point that I always use with clients all the time. So to really think about budget right now, again, prior to the Apple iOS update, I would have always told clients at a bottom, basement level, you have to spend at least $25 a day if you're running conversion ads. Post the iOS update, I'm really recommending to my clients $40 to $50 a day in terms of those single ads that we're putting out there. So again, if you're testing out two different images in those first 3 days, kind of the learning phase of the Facebook algorithm, expect to pay somewhere around $100 to go through that split testing phase, and eventually you can turn off one of those ads and get down to $50 a day in terms of your budget. But recognize that, like, if you want to really start with at least 2 ads that have the same copy, same headline, so you can really see, like, okay, which image is really resonating with my audience, which is leading to more clicks and potentially more results over time. So really start, at the very beginning of your split testing phase. And split testing just means, like, okay, all things being equal, can I take a specific component of my Facebook advertising and see which one is really moving the needle one way or another? So you're really keeping all of the things kind of the same, so you can kind of see the effect of doing that. So you don't want to have different ad copy or different headlines, because you won't be exactly sure which one is really moving the dial along the way. So step 1 is really thinking about those images in terms of that. Step 2 is something that you can kind of do along the way, but it's really around targeting. So targeting is really important, because if Facebook is putting your ad in front of the wrong audience, then obviously that's not going to lead to the right results. And as targeting is something that you can really dial in as you go further and further. So as you test out those images, especially in those first few days, what you can really get a sense of is, like, again, going into the targeting, you're choosing certain behaviors and interests, and kind of going through those and trying to build an audience of somewhere around 500K to 1 million in terms of that audience for Facebook to put your ads in front of. But obviously there's various different characteristics. As you do more research, you could do different combinations and all those kind of things. You could also introduce things like lookalike audiences, custom audiences, as you're kind of building out your funnel as well. So there's a lot of different options. But the way I kind of look at it is, especially as you're going through and testing your images in those first few days, is get a sense, especially with that targeting, as you're getting results primarily, but also in terms of the engagement that you're getting in on your ad. Like those people that are liking your ad, commenting on it, either sharing it as well, that's all good information that you should pay attention to. And as people like your ad, take a look at their profile. Are they the type of people that you want to be working with? Do they fit the profile of the people that you that fit your ideal customer? And if they're not, maybe that's a sign of, okay, my targeting is a little bit off here. Maybe it's a little bit too narrow. Maybe it's a little bit too broad. Maybe the characteristics need some tweaking along the way. So that's kind of a way that you can obviously run images, but use kind of the information that Facebook is giving you in terms of results, but also that engagement to get a sense of, like, okay, here's the targeting that I chose, but is it the right fit along the way? And that's a great way, especially in those first 3 days, to figure out, like, okay, one of these images is working well. The targeting seems to be on point. Maybe it isn't on point. And the best way that you're going to get a sense for that is as you get the results and as you actually reach out to these people, if it's either a purchase or maybe they're opting in for a list, to actually have a conversation with these people and really get a sense for, like, okay, is this the type of person that I really want to be working with? And do they fit the audience that my ad copy is talking through and everything else? So targeting is something that you can think about along the way, but it's kind of that second step in terms of split testing. So you've gotten the right image in that first 3 days, you're getting results. Okay, is the targeting something that we maybe should try out broader targeting? Maybe we should try some more narrow targeting, based on location or demographics or all those kind of things. There's so many different things in terms of the targeting videos, and I'll link to the targeting, kind of basics that I have in terms of the video altogether. But really think about the targeting. Want to make sure if you're not putting, like, your ad could be amazing, but if Facebook isn't putting in front of the right people, you're obviously not going to get the results that you're looking for. So that's that one's that. Step 3 is, and this is kind of like a toss-up between kind of two different things, but the way I kind of test it out and the way I always like to test it out is kind of that soundbite. So that soundbite is kind of, that's the first, I spelled it wrong, but the soundbite is really those first couple of lines within your Facebook ad copy. So if you're running a longer ad that has more, more than 3 or 4 lines, Facebook is going to put that see more button in there. So is that soundbite compelling enough that people are actually clicking through and hitting that see more button and seeing the rest of your ad or not? that's kind of a key thing. So again, like if your image is kind of stopping their scroll, and then there's that soundbite is really catching their attention, maybe at an emotional level enough that they're kind of drawn in, that they hit that see more button and read the rest of your ad, that can be really effective. But I've seen, like, you can take various different approaches to the soundbite. It can be something that gives your audience a visualization of what life might look like after they've worked with you or bought your product. Or you can kind of hit on maybe their pain points right now. So talk about their life right now. And again, do it in a compliant way that follows Facebook's rules. But how can we kind of meet them where they are? That's, the various different sound bites will have various different results. So that's why, especially in the early going, especially if we have a good confident stance in terms of the targeting, that's where I might go out with various different images. And especially if there's a budget for it, I might test out 5 different sound bites to make sure that, okay, not only is our image dialed in, but we want to make sure that that soundbite at the top is really catching people's attention, getting them engaged in the ad, and eventually getting to that call to action at the bottom. So again, if my clients have the budget for it, I'm going to test out 5 different soundbites along with those images to make sure that we can get the best possible results, really engaging with our audience. And you're going to really see that come through in terms of the analytics as you go through as well. Like, what's your click-through rate? What's your link clicks? What's your overall click button? So if people aren't hitting that see more button, then they're not going to see the rest of your ad. And that's why I wouldn't even get into like testing the whole long Facebook copy yet. Let's test out one portion of that overall. Another one that you can easily test is kind of the headline. So the headline is just that the characters just below the image. So again, that's another great way to kind of stop their scroll. If you got the right image, you got the right soundbite, a headline can be another great way to test out, like one versus another. Okay, how can we catch their attention a little bit more? Again, can you talk a little bit more positively about what their life is going to look like? Can you hit on those pain points? There's various different ways. Can you build up some curiosity that they really want to read that ad copy along the way? So all those kind of things are really helpful. Again, if you're kind of limited in your budget, obviously you start with kind of testing out those images. Again, think about if the targeting, make it broad enough in that 500K to $1 million range, and see how that is kind of playing along over time. So you might want to test out some targeting maybe a little bit later on, but certainly test out that soundbite if you have the budget for it. Maybe if you don't have the budget, maybe the headline is not worth testing out. Maybe you leave it as it is. And then as you go along and as you're getting the data and seeing that click-through rate and seeing the results and all those kind of things, that's where step 5, you kind of think about like, and this is kind of in the scenario where your Facebook ad is really doing well. What's some of that Facebook ad copy? Like, how can I change the entire ad to maybe beat the control that I already have? Or if my ad copy, if my click-through rate is below 1%, and I've tested out all these other things, I've tested out the image, the soundbite, the headline, I've kind of dialed those in, I found the best ones. Maybe I go to the Facebook ad copy and just rewrite the whole thing altogether and see how that performs. And does that get the click-through rate that I'm looking for, 1% or above, in terms of getting people into that altogether? So those are kind of the 5 things that I would kind of really think about. Again, if you have the budget for it, you can kind of test out these things along the way. Obviously, if you have the budget, that's a great way to kind of test out different Facebook ad copy. You might be testing out different offers as well. So you might have a lead magnet on one side, you might have your book on the other side, you might have a webinar as well. So if you can test out those offers and see what really resonates with your audience, that's also helpful. But really think about kind of the order of operations. So again, start with the image because that's the most important thing. Really think about the targeting along the way. Think about that soundbite, how we kind of catching people's attention. Headline is another one that kind of catches people's attention. So again, if you're not getting their attention, if they're not stopping to actually just even glance at your ad, then you obviously you're going to struggle in terms of those results. And then you can go a little bit further in terms of that Facebook ad copy, which obviously takes a little bit more effort. And that's where you can, again, when you've kind of dialed in your ad and it's really working really well, that's where I would kind of test out some other additional Facebook ad copy. That's where I might go to a client and say like, okay, it seems like we have really great results here. how can we maybe take a segment of your audience and maybe make a little bit more specific ad copy or specific targeting that talks to their situation a little bit more, especially as you're getting client results and client testimonials. How can we take a segment of your broader audience and maybe speak a little bit more specifically to a portion of your market to kind of get more engagement, get more conversions, and ultimately more results? So really think about your audience a little bit more holistically, and think about segmenting them, especially as you dial in your Facebook ad and you're getting results at really low cost, and you're getting that positive ROI. How can we throw out some other offers? How can we potentially segment our audience to kind of speak their language even more specifically to get the results that we're looking for? So any questions on this in the comments below? Let me know what you have been testing more recently and what you've seen in terms of overall results. And with that, I will say goodbye for now, but feel free to check out my lives going forward.